If you're a person who believes in freedom of speech, you have to fight and say what you feel and let the chips fall where they may.
Say whatever you want and then face some sort of repercussions for it later.
Hey, fun, son. Nothing else in the world smells like that.
Kansas has possibly the weakest open records law in the country.
Retaliatory animus, had it not been for that negative feeling towards speech, they would have not done that.
Are you telling me that 200 men against your boy is a no-win situation for us?
Wishing you could see things was my way. When it all gets ripped away. I love the smell of napalm in the morning. I can't hide. Pain it brings so far away. Sometimes it gets hard to breathe when it's gonna hit my face.
All right. We got the doc, and we've got a special guest tonight, Richard Smith, Kansas Freedom News. Welcome aboard. We're simulcasting over to his channel, I believe.
Absolutely. I believe we got it going.
All right, guys, we wanted to give you a little update on some happenings, and I've been a little absent. I've been going through a little bout of shingles. I'm telling you, that's a killer when you get it, but I think I'm coming back from it now, so we're back up and running. And we've got some updates on some legal activity going on. Was it January 7th, Dick? Is that right? That yours filed?
I believe so. Yeah. January 7th.
Yep. And then I had one filed on the 8th. And it's interesting how this all played out, where we all three came together and got involved in a county where none of us live. You made that comment earlier, Justin.
Yep. And I'm the only one that doesn't have a recent one here, a lawsuit filed. I'm just here to talk, I guess. So, what brought us?
But you played a key role. You played a key role.
Okay, all right. I'll serve a purpose. That what brought us all together was what happened there in Elk County, and it started with Dick's reporting there at Kansas Freedom News. He reported on Robert Walker's unlawful arrest, and then from there he reported just a couple months after that an incident that happened in Jackson County that got me and Michael interested in going up to Jackson County. But it all kind of started there at Elk County for the three of us kind of coming together. And now each of you guys have a lawsuit in each one of those counties right now, which is exciting.
Right. Well, and Dick, I want to get to yours because yours really is interesting to me on a couple levels. I kind of, it seems like you kind of got punished a little bit for the reporting that Justin and I did up there, because I don't remember seeing you at the meetings there at the last part. I remember seeing Justin and I and some commissioners getting a little frustrated with our behavior there. Well, I wouldn't say our behavior, our words.
Yeah.
They
Our
label
word.
it behavior, and they convince me to start saying it.
Well, but also, you know, it is true though. We were there was an issue they had with us standing along the wall, so that they took issue with that kind of stuff when they didn't take issue with anyone else.
Right.
So you're not wrong in that sense. But yeah, it's speech, and you know that's part of it there. But Dick's, as the lawsuit shows, lays out the timeline of everything. Dick's reporting in Jackson County there started, you know, basically, Dick, when your Kansas Freedom News YouTube channel was up and running. You started reporting then, is that right?
Yep. All back in 2023, after I got comfortable, you know, watching up Michael Lawrence accountability videos, your videos, Long Island audits, and you know, I can go on and name a bunch of them. But when I finally got comfortable, I created my own channel and started documenting some of the complaints from coworkers and community members, and just started recording audio. I started out doing a lot of audio recording secretly, and then of course that ended up leading up to Tom Hoffman's incident, which brought you guys down, and then back in October they terminated me.
Yep. And as the lawsuit says there, they were the commission. So who's all named in there? Is you got the 3 county commissioners,
The 3 commissioners: Keith Kelly, Mark Pruitt, Dan Brenner, the counselor for the commissioner, the board of commissions, which is Todd Luckman, and Scott Kefauver, which is what do they call him? Public Works Director of Road and Bridge.
Yep. And so though the commissioners there had been openly discussing at these meetings that you know, that there was some online reporting that was being done, and they didn't approve of it. They didn't like it, and so they made it clear at this meeting that you know, you can be fired for it. And there was some you know, you did a great job standing up for your rights, saying, hey, you know what, guys, when I'm off the clock and I'm at home, I have the free speech just like anybody else does. You can't tell me what I can and can't report on. You did an excellent job of that. And that was at that meeting in what was that, in September 23, right?
I believe it was that October, the end of October, right after I was terminated, is when I went to that meeting and spoke up.
Well, it was the
there was a before that,
department
Dick.
meeting. The department meeting.
Oh,
where they
yeah,
first
that would
talked
have been
about it.
August of 2023. August of 2023 is
Yep.
it was a Road and Bridge meeting where they
Yep.
didn't like a Facebook post of me questioning about a rumor on the paid tier system that they were contemplating implementing.
Yep.
Right.
And that's kind of that's the genesis of this. It starts with that Facebook post.
Yep.
The citizen journalists reporting, and they didn't approve of it, and they didn't like it, and so they immediately were saying like, "Hey, they were threatening the termination and retaliation right off the bat," and you did a good job.
Absolutely.
Well,
and then
and
it was a year later. That's when me and Michael ended up there.
Yes.
right. It came full circle though, with Keith Kelly being recorded in the commission room, seeming to ask what time somebody came to work, and well, just show up there and tell them their services are no longer needed. And it, you know, it really sounded like he was talking about Keith or Kefauver firing Dick, and it wasn't. Sure enough, Dick's fired the next day. And I was just blown away that they would be so open about that, Justin, that they would talk in an open public meeting in an open format in that way.
Yeah, me too. I had the same reaction. It was they're really brazen, and I remember hearing that in that meeting and being like, are they talking about Dick there? Why would they be doing that like that?
Right.
But they did.
Right.
And Dick, you ended up getting fired. You ended up getting terminated, and filed suit. You know, said Elk County is what kind of started the connection with all of us. But right now, we also have the same attorney representing us on all these cases as well.
He's a great attorney.
Great attorney. His name's Linus Baker. He's outstanding, and so he's
I'm
representing.
impressed.
Yep. And so, yeah, shortly after you got fired, then in October, and then in January, the case got filed, but you connected with Linus, and then same thing with Michael with his case there in Elk County that we'll talk about against Joe Gillette, but also the PFA as well prior to that.
Right. And these cases, guys, you see in the front cover here, they pretty much follow the same format for the first couple pages. They're laying out who's part of the case, who the plaintiff is, who the defendant is, the jurisdiction and venue, making sure that everybody's in the right spot for the court. That way there's no hiccups going into it. The second page, it kind of lays out who they are, whether they're being sued in their official capacity and as their standing as a commissioner in that area, or if they're being sued in their individual capacity, like some of these are named here. And Justin, tell us a little bit about the differences there between being sued in your official capacity and being sued in the individual capacity for these people.
Well, it's just two ways of getting sued, two options of getting sued. Far as I know, in an official capacity, the liabilities are different and the coverages are different, and in terms of like they might have government funding backing them for their attorneys, whereas if they're individually, they're kind of on their own. And same thing with liability. If they found liable for any of it, it's a difference between oftentimes people will say, oh, it doesn't matter if you sue because it's always the taxpayers that pay. Well, that's not necessarily always true.
Not always.
Yeah.
Not always if they're brazen enough about it.
Right. And so then it just has to do with kind of the protections and the liabilities.
Yeah. And when you get down to after the defendants are named, you usually get into the counts. And these are where the meat and potatoes is about the case itself. This is a 42 USC 1983 claim, a basic civil rights act. And it's under a retaliation and wrongful termination, if I understood correctly. You guys are really familiar with these events. I know that with me being down the last couple of weeks, I'm in a little bit of a brain fog still on that. But the way this suit is laid out, I heard somebody say earlier today that it doesn't really matter what they say because they're already on record. And as I read down through this suit, I have a hard time not thinking that about this.
Yeah, they're all on record, and it's a testament to the importance of reporting and documenting, and because they're all on record. Each one of these events was something that was reported on, and it wasn't even some of the stuff. Dick, you were reporting on a wider range of stuff there in Jackson County with a sheriff's deputy was involved in an issue there, and you reported on that. But the thing about it is, all this reporting brought embarrassment on these commissioners, and they didn't like it. They didn't like it, so they wanted to stop it. And that's where they get into the big no-nos there of the retaliation and stuff.
Absolutely.
Dick, you were the one there during this time. I mean, were you not? How do you go in that room always wondering if you're going to be fired for what you're doing?
To be honest, I didn't care. My goal was to get the truth out and to secretly audio record everything that went on and document everything. So this way, later on down the road, they can't say, well, I didn't say that. This didn't happen. That didn't happen. This was never said. I dotted my I's, crossed my T's, and made sure everything was recorded and documented. If it was just guys, BSing and just randomly talking, I didn't worry about that information. But when it comes to important, vital information on how the county was run, who was doing what, how they were doing, what changes were being made, who was implementing those changes, that's kind of what I concentrated on. And then when guys started complaining about them being retaliated against, or things weren't being fairly and treated equally, or they felt kind of discriminated against some way or some shape or form, I'd always document that kind of interaction or conversations, and especially during meetings. They were not shy to bring some of that stuff up. So that's why I wasn't afraid to record it, because anything could pop up at any time.
Well, and I want to clarify for everybody watching that Kansas is a one-party state. So what that means is that you can record. You have the free right to record anything, and you don't have to notify people around you that you're recording. And you want to check your state laws, because there are other states I know we have some people watching from other states. Don't just go willy-nilly doing this. Check your state law and make sure you are in a one-party state. Kansas is that way. But there was no law broken, and the recordings, they're vital to some of the understanding of what's actually taking place behind the scenes. I mean, the plans that were made to try to retaliate and try to stamp down the coverage that they didn't like. That's what we see pretty much everywhere we go, and it just keeps mirroring itself, Justin.
Yeah, they it's any unfavorable reporting or any embarrassing reporting, they don't like that. And with this here, the kind of the timeline of it, like we mentioned, it started with that Facebook post in it was like August of 23, we said. And then, like I mentioned, there was a couple of other reports that Dick, you had done there. And then it was in it was either August or September of 24 then is when Tom Hoffman, who's a citizen there in Jackson County, went to the Jackson County Commission meeting to speak during the comment section on the agenda, and was stopped by the county commissioners and the council there, Todd Luckman, because they said that, well, Tom had filed some sort of cease and desist letter to the commissioners. And so they said, well, since you did that, the only way you can talk to us is through your attorney now. You can't talk here during this meeting. And again, this is another story that Dick broke there. So Dick, he reported on that as well. And then, Michael, you were up there, I think the next, whatever the next
it was
meeting
the next week.
About it. Yep, after we heard about it, you were there. And they immediately treated you like dog shit for no reason whatsoever. And so then I started coming up the next meeting, and then we had a series of meetings there for about 5 weeks, 6 weeks or so where we were there. And the standing issue we mentioned, they were going to have us arrested for a couple of
and to remind everybody, they went so far as to trespass us off the entire downtown city square at the behest of those commissioners. That's the lengths that they're willing to go to up there.
Yeah, and it was just for standing along the wall there, when they had allowed other people, meeting attendees, to stand along the wall before, no issue. But as soon as me and Michael decided,
that became the disruptive behavior that I referred to. We were standing in the wrong spot. You are disrupting our meeting, and that is disorderly behavior.
And well, they don't have a rule for that. No standing there, so they were dead wrong. But they were got us out of there. They're gonna arrest us and trespass us from, like Michael said, not just the meeting room, not just the courthouse where the meeting's located, but the entire courthouse property. We couldn't go back on it the rest of the day, they said, and we're like, what? The commissioners don't have that kind of fucking authority. What the fuck are you talking about?
I'm pretty sure just as I turned to walk away, when the guy said turn around, I think he was getting ready to cuff me, not let me walk away.
I know.
But you guys, as we're talking about this, I'm leaving these pages up long enough that you guys can read them and take a look at what the lawsuit actually says. I'm not going to read it verbatim, word for word. We've known these events and we've lived them. Rich, especially on this stuff, you lived this, and we'll put it up on the screen. We'll let the people read it. Now, when this thing filed, I got to ask, was there any additional retaliation or anything or was it just everybody stayed quiet?
Everybody stayed quiet. I didn't share it with nobody until the day it was filed. I shared with everybody, or at least my family and close friends. I at least let them know, say, hey, in case you hear about this, I am going to let you hear it from me first. The lawsuit has been officially filed, but I'm not going to go into any details about it.
But they haven't sent the sheriffs out to your house to do any crazy shit or anything like that. Okay, good.
Nothing yet.
Okay. And this one here, now I noticed you got a video link in here, Justin. I don't remember.
All the links to the videos are in there. That one's just hyperlinked, it looks like, but
gotcha.
They're all in there. for Dick's reporting there on his YouTube channel. You know, one other interesting thing that happened there that's mentioned there, one of the events is this investigation that the Jackson County commissioners opened up for a alleged supposed discrimination complaint that was filed, and it was, turns out, you know, come to find out, it wasn't like filed like, you know, officially, you know, in the department or wherever it was. It was a Facebook post, and they took that, the commission took that as a an official complaint, and so because of that, because it was official, they had to conduct an investigation. So they contracted with this outside law firm, and the only employee, despite both the commissioner saying and the investigator saying that they were going to talk to other people, the only employee they talked to there was you, Dick, about this, and you know, entirely unaware of it all prior to that, and that Commissioner Kelly had, you know, specifically gone out of his way to track you down while you were working on one of the county roads to hand deliver you that letter saying you got to meet with these attorneys about this discrimination complaint that was filed on Facebook, I guess.
Yep.
Well,
yeah, and so you went to that as well, and did anything come of that?
No,
So, you know,
no. And the last time I talked to a lot of the guys at my fellow coworkers, or former coworkers, I guess I should say, I asked them, I said, has anybody ever been called in for this special interview or this special investigation? And neither one of them said, every one of them said no, they've never gotten called in. I was the only one that got called in for this.
so was it an actual investigation or just a scare tactic?
I think it was a scare tactic or digging for information kind of tactic, or now, could these coworkers be lying to me? It's possible, but I doubt it. I doubt it.
well, even the way it was framed, I mean, you know, the one of the attorneys flat out accused you of it and said that the commissioner said you did it as well. So you know that
Right as soon as that meeting started, or that interview started, they called me out by name personally, claiming that was my Facebook post.
Yep. They said it was you, and you're like, this is you know,
It's nobody else's Facebook post they're worried about, only yours.
Only mine. Yep.
Yeah, and that's something.
And it didn't have my name on it. It didn't have Kansas Freedom News, which everybody knew me by. It was some, what was it, Jackson Transparency or something?
Yeah. Now I got to ask, in all the time that they've been watching Facebook, are you the only one that's ever been critical of the county on Facebook?
As far as I'm aware, no. There's others, but there's been several others been critical.
Yeah, I would think so.
Well, you know a few of them. You got Tom Hoffman, you got Matt DeVader, you got Kathleen. I mean, there's several of them that's been critical.
So what's the difference? Why the difference then? Why do they treat them different?
Because I'm a county employee, and they probably felt betrayed. I guess. I don't know.
That's it.
Yep, and that they control you and say you can't report on this.
Yeah.
It's unfavorable, so you can't report it. Now, if you had been reporting favorable news, they'd be all for it. Is that what?
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, that's how it usually works.
This is the history of Jackson County. I can name employees who no longer work here, who were threatened with write-ups and threatened with termination because they just talked to somebody or commented on Facebook about road conditions. It wasn't even critical of the county, but they would threaten them because they, quote unquote, commented about the county and answered questions. They're just so protective of their image. It's laughable.
Damnedest thing too, because you know that Facebook post is about this tiered pay system.
Yep.
And they got their panties in a bunch about it. And then they ended up actually fucking implementing
it. And they called me a liar. Richard
called you a liar.
And come to find out it was true. It was completely true.
Said it's just rumors. You can't report on rumors. And then they talked about it at subsequent meetings and then implement it. It's like, you motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Shit.
Well, it can't make it look like you've got any kind of breaking news. I mean, that would legitimize the poor one-man show, right? That they try to label us as, oh, you're just a guy with a camera. How could you be any kind of report? Well, that's what the traditional news covering, news gathering, and citizen news was back in the original times with this. It wasn't an organization printing a newspaper. It was Ben Franklin and a printing press,
Yeah.
And I want to make sure I point out that Dick is the Kansas Freedom News. You break stories, man. I mean, the Robert Walker's arrest is a story that
100%.
you broke. What's going on in Jackson County overall is stuff that you're reporting on that, we can't count on, the quote unquote media. It's always funny when they say, oh, you guys are citizen journalists, as if it's not legit. But yeah, you have like media that will not report on these kind of things that Dick is out in front on there with these arrests that are going on. I mean, these are injustices that matter, and the local reporters are entirely silent on it for the most part.
Well, and Justin, you're not as much on top of the police accountability as I am. That the reporting Dick did on Matthew Honus, that was important to the county, because those kind of officers need to be removed from our streets, regardless of where they're at.
Right. And that was one of the other thorn. That was another thorn in the side of those commissioners there. Mm-hmm. You got county employees that are fucking up, and then you got a news reporter that's reporting on it. It's like, hey, it's the fucking news, man. That's the news. What do you want from me? I'm reporting the news.
But as we see around here, they can control some of these news outlets that they claim are the proper media. They're proper because they can control them. They can, grant them access if they're nice and shut them down if they're not.
Right. Well, that's like up at Jackson County. You got the what is their paper called? The Holton Reporter, I think is what it is.
Oh, like yeah, and that girl runs.
The Holton Reporter, yeah.
Holton Recorder. And while we're up there, we had talked to her out in the hallway that one time. But while we were up there, we had the incident we just talked about of getting trespassed from the entire square, and what looked, the discrimination that was going on in there with who could speak and who couldn't. And she wouldn't even report on it. She wrote a story about stuff that happened there, but didn't report on those kind of things. Like it never even happened. It's really it's similar to like in Lawrence there when the LJ World sees things going on inside those meetings and then just willfully doesn't report on them. It's the same thing. And so that's why it's important for, guys like us and people like us and more people out there to start going and just pointing in the camera and recording yourself and reporting on this stuff, because it's really important stuff that wouldn't see the light of day if not for like I just think about that Robert Walker case. I mean, Dick, getting that out there was huge. People in Elk County probably would have known about it, but it's spread. The story is spread.
Yeah.
Well, and it's gotten Elk County people up off their seats too.
Yep.
The injustices that have gone on down there have really awakened that county. I think, what do you say, guys? I think right now is a good time to show this video from today.
Yeah. You want to set it up?
I mean, yeah, guys.
Yeah, speaking of that, play that video from today.
That video. Okay, guys, I'm going to put it up on the screen here. Hopefully I can stop it here before it gets going too bad. But guys, down in Elk County, they have their commission meetings on Monday morning, and I saw a live stream pop up on one of the people down there in Elk County, and she was at the meeting speaking. And man, do you guys got a better way to set this up? The woman says it too good for me to even try to speak for her, man.
Her words says it all. I just go full screen with it and let it play.
Here's the video, guys. You guys enjoy this. This is amazing.
This agenda, we did not have any public forum listed. Is there anybody who'd like to speak over it? Ma'am?
My name is Nikki Krieger. So I'm a native of Elk County, specifically of Howard. I was raised here. Generations of my family were raised here. until I took a 35-year break to see that grass was not greener on the other side. I decided to move home a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago. I'm here to address several concerns regarding the operations and transparency of the Elk County Commission, as well as the entire law enforcement division of Elk County, which includes the DA's office. Firstly, I want to address the timing of these meetings. Holding them during working hours is prohibitive for the majority of the local public. County business is a people's business, and they have a right to be involved. I urge you to consider scheduling the meetings at a time a little bit more convenient for the people that you serve. Secondly, I question the decision to have only 3 commissioners overseeing the entire workings of Elk County. A larger panel of 5 to 6 members would provide more diverse perspectives and better oversight. This is the first in-person meeting I have attended, but while watching online, I noticed an attorney present, a county counselor. What is his intended purpose here, and who pays for his services? Now, I'm going to be asking several questions that if you could hold the, I would appreciate answers, but if you could hold them till the end when I get done speaking, I would appreciate it. So, violations of individual constitutional rights has been quite a hot topic in our community for a while now. For instance, being buzzed into a public municipality where access is only granted upon providing identifying information, which is both unconstitutional and ineffective. If actual threats to safety were a concern, the physical presence of law enforcement or security would have been provided. Ms. Gillette got security, right? So it's doable. Instead, the buzzer system violates everyone's rights while failing to provide real safety. Regarding the buzzer system, I find it hard to believe that no one else has questioned the legality of that in 15 years. Was it an overreach by a district judge? I was told it was by judge's order, as were others. Then it was, well, the judge wanted it done, so the commissioners got it done. Then it seems the maintenance man at the time installed it and informed the commissioners what he did. Does anyone even know the truth? I think after a year of trouble about it, somebody would. I'm surprised and disappointed that our government employees, commissioners, law enforcement, and attorney are so ignorant of our United States Constitution that the violation of rights has been allowed to go on so long without challenge. Or perhaps they're not ignorant at all and they know exactly what they're doing. Regardless, enough already. Y'all need to get rid of it. Now that you've become aware that it's a violation of the Constitution, it needs to go. It's none of anyone's damn business what anyone's business is at the courthouse. It's just not. What if somebody comes in here for a PFA? You know, everybody doesn't need to know about that. Like an ever-growing portion of our community and frankly the nation, I have watched all the videos starring our own little Elk County. I say that I am disappointed with the conduct and behavior of almost everyone. This commission, the sheriff's department, its deputies and office employees, and last but definitely not least, the clown show we all know as the Elk County DA's office.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and pause it there for a moment because she's going to go into to some more areas and it's going to get more fun. But the point is, guys, is we've got people down there that are stepping up now. They're realizing that they can go in there and that they can speak. This is the third person that I can think of that has gone in and actually spoke to them. There was a lady that had a son that was in the Navy. Is that right? I think he was deployed.
Yeah.
And she had a young daughter there that went in and spoke. And then Janet Harrington was the former sheriff that went in there and gave them the constitutional booklets. And then here we have another citizen in there explaining that she's not satisfied with what's going on in their county and they need to change it. What are they not hearing?
It's been some serious government redress, that's for sure, with those 3 that you mentioned there. They've done a great job. What they're not hearing, I don't know. I was thinking while I was watching this for the first time earlier today, I was like, man, I think that they might start getting the message if more people win. I mean, she's hitting all these great points. I mean, she's right, man. It's nobody's damn business about that buzzer when you go into the courthouse. Nobody's business what you're doing there. And it could potentially be some private, as far as I'm concerned, it's all private business, but some private stuff. She mentions a PFA occurring. It's nobody's business. So if enough people say that, you can see those guys squirming up there. If enough people are upset about it and talking, then they might start listening. They might.
And guys, the same thing can happen in Jackson County, where this lawsuit's from. There's a few people that are there pretty regularly, keeping an eye on these commissioners. There needs to be more people in there talking to them. And Jackson County's in the same situation that Elk County's in. They have a meeting in the middle of the day on Monday, and they're in a rural area where they're working class people who are at work at that time.
Well, yeah, I agree with that. I think that is part of it. But as you'll recall, Michael, Jackson County does do a quarterly general public comment meeting and it's in the evening, and this last one was in September. Remember, we went to that.
Right.
And non-citizens, me and you, actually outnumbered the citizens there in Jackson County. And that was an evening meeting as well. But
that's a fair point to be made. And I think if the Jackson County citizens wanted to see that daytime meeting come to the nighttime, they would probably have to be packing that nighttime meeting.
Yeah, for sure. And
I need to be voicing it.
Yep. Well, and there's a core group of people up there in Jackson County. You mentioned there's a few of them up there. It's kind of like a core. They really are paying attention, have their finger on the pulse of what's going up there. And doing some good accountability. But like you said there, Michael, the missing thing is there needs to be more people. But that's the story everywhere, man. That's the story everywhere. It's not unique to Jackson County or Elk County. Right. But just imagine if there were more people that would show up, then change could happen. It really could.
Well, and that's what we see whenever we go somewhere. We see more people come in, and we see the change start to happen, because I think the power recognizes the power of the people when it really shows up.
For sure. And that button issue up at the Elk County Courthouse is one I think that they could get, because I mean, every point she made about it is true. First the Elk County tried to lie and say, well, it's a judge ruling. And then they shifted gears and said, well, it's the judge ordered the commission, so the commission did it. And then it took a further step down to the frickin' maintenance guy that did it. So it's not like it's like, it's not binding, obviously. It seems like it's like a shaky thing that if enough people went in there and pushed on it, the button would be gone, is what it seems like.
And let's remember what the button started. I mean, Dick, the button is the original root of your reporting.
Yep. The original root of my reporting, the original reason why Robert Walker got into the mess he's in, and the reason why he was arrested, and I believe unlawfully arrested, and it just snowballed from there.
And they've refused to adjust.
It's all over that. Yeah, it's all over that. It's all over that button. And not only that, they didn't refuse to adjust at all. But remember when we first went down there, Michael, back in July, and Joe Love gave us that same runaround. He swore up and down it was a district judge that did that order there.
Yeah.
And within 2 weeks we got to the bottom of it, and we're like, what are you talking about? This is from a maintenance guy. I mean, they were just, they were sticking with that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing to stick to. It's nothing binding. It's just.
And I'm glad you brought that up, Justin, because when you go back to our discussion about the Holton recorder versus our reporting and their reporting, do you think they would have investigated deep enough to find out where that initially came from?
Nope. Hell no.
No, because that took pressure. We applied pressure to get there. And
well, it took persistence too, as well, because we got the runaround. We went from one place to the next, and we had to do, we had to look in their records about, when these things actually came about, and got into the agenda minutes of the meetings. And that's too much to ask, I guess, from a reporter. I guess that they would probably just take the Joe Love first story that it's a district judge and run with it. I mean, I don't know, but dig into the bottom of it, probably not.
Now, Dick, if they're going to go so far as to fire you over this, surely you were taking up a lot of the county clerk's time with just a bunch of mundane record requests and doing a lot of this reporting on the clock, right?
I should have, but I know. I really, I think I did a few record requests with the sheriff's department over the Matthew Honus thing that kept getting swept under the rug. I did a record request. The most recent one before my termination was over the GPS units. I didn't do a whole lot of records requests.
So you couldn't have been tying up county resources a whole lot
No.
or anything.
No, it was just I was just a thorn under their side because I was recording, documenting, and reporting it, putting them in a bad light.
Documenting,
Basically.
and reporting.
Right.
And that's all it takes these days.
Yep. You're reporting that to them was unfavorable when it's just the facts of the situation.
They would say one thing in commissioners meeting, and my audio recordings and videos of the actual what took place, put them just basically called them out being a liar.
Yep.
And you know, that's we run into that, and when they start lying, it never seems to end.
Yep.
You know, that's a similar situation with what happened down in Elk County. You know, that the lie just keeps getting compounded upon itself.
Yep. Yep. And you know, before we, I guess, transition, if we're going to be transitioning to your lawsuit there, just a point here. So these lawsuits, you know, it got filed just within the last couple of days. So I think the defendants have, I think, 28 or 30 days, something like that, to respond for. So like that'll be the next step, is waiting for their. I'm going to cut out there a little bit, but sometimes they can request an extension on time as well.
Well, and then the back and forth with all the different documents. So it's going to take a while before this ever sees a real courtroom, but because there's a lot of stuff that happens before then. Justin, you've got a case right now that's been active for how long, and you're just now getting to the discovery stages?
Yep, they're all over a year old at this point. And in each one of them has been different in terms of, you know, not necessarily the overall timing, but just the way some of the things have gone. But that official, or that first initial response will happen within a month. And this is, you know, for the most part, the beginning is kind of the written portion of it. There might be some sort of trial or hearing for I don't think. Who knows? But there could be an injunctive hearing. I don't think there's in either one of these, but it's the kind of the written portion of it, trying to get to an oral trial of it at the end.
Well, and the one difference here, Dick, yours is going into a federal circuit, I believe. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. Now, the difference between that one and this next one we're going to look at is this one's being filed in Elk County. And so I would assume that at the county level, is it not going to work a little different? I don't know. I guess I'm a little inexperienced with this. I kind of got an understanding of how the federal side works. At the county side, are they going to follow the same kind of process? And I would think not, because it's going to be more governed under Kansas Chapter 60 rather than the federal statutes. Am I not right?
Well, it's still going to be, I don't know.
It's still listed as a 1983, but it's being ran through it's being done at a local district level rather than the federal level.
Right. So in terms of like the deadlines, I'm sure that they're probably the same. Like, you know, like I was talking about that first 30 day, maybe, I mean, I don't know, but I assume it would be the same. Right. Now, less cases. I don't really know going through Elk County there compared to a federal court. I'm not sure what I would do in terms of
less judges, less attorneys as well, though. I mean, you got less of everything there.
That'll be an interesting aspect of it to see how they go time wise. So I don't know.
Yep.
I've never seen.
Well, this case is being brought, and this is my case. This is as a result of the protection order that Miss Gillette filed back in November. And you guys, most of you people watching, I know you've heard the audio of that hearing that went on down there where, I mean, she basically got on the stand and told lies. I mean, there's not really much other way to put that. The evidence was pretty clear by the end of that.
It was clear going into it. Her motion or petition that she filed it was clear that there was nothing there. It was clear because you're on the side of the Constitution.
Right. And in this one, she is being sued in her individual capacity because she was acting in her individual capacity when she brought that claim in court. She did that pro se, not as the DA or as the county attorney. She did that as Jill Gillette, citizen.
Supposedly, pro se.
Well, that's what we were to understand from the court hearing.
Right.
And again, the first few lines of any filing like this is just going to lay out the parties, and then you're going to get into the meat and bones of the counts. And the first one is abuse of process. And there's a number of ways here, and we talked about this when we discussed the live streams about how she was able to get evidence that we weren't able to get, or that I wasn't able to get, and that she used her office.
She used her position and office to up the ante a little bit.
Yes, she could get evidence as a pro se attorney that wasn't also, or not evidence, but she could get the videos through a request that you were denied as well, even though you guys were both pro se attorneys, or she was
right. And my request was denied after these videos had been introduced into a public court hearing as well.
Right.
And so I'm still not allowed to have those videos.
But she could get
she could get them to use against me in court. That was kind of interesting how that worked out.
Yeah. And you mentioned that she lied on the stand. Yeah, she lied multiple times, and some very big lies about you following her out to the car and the positioning of you recording her, which didn't happen. She lied about Joe Love coming upstairs after that door incident there, which didn't happen. The opposite happened because we went down and got him and talked to him. And then she lied about you yelling up the stairs to her office when Michael was silent the entire time and
wasn't even saying a word.
I was talking. Nobody was yelling. I was talking. Michael was silent, and she said he was like screaming and calling her names and stuff on the way up there. And so she did all that on the stand. And so she perjured herself. She lied. And these are big, big lies. And so she needs to be held accountable for that shit.
Well, and when you have a person that's in charge of justice, and I mean, that's the disappointing part for me is this. Yeah, she lied about me, but how many other people down there? I mean, I've watched on some Zoom videos where I could be pretty damn positive that Jill was off on the side on this one somehow, and it shouldn't have been going the way it was, but it still went that way. How many people down there get shafted by this stuff and don't have a way to fight back to it? That's the frustrating aspect for me.
It's really frustrating because, it's like if they don't have a case, don't bring the charges, but they bring the charges and they come through with this bullshit fucking case that's full of lies and untruths the whole time.
Well, and like you and I talk, even if they don't get it to stick, you still do the time while you're under indictment on it.
Yep.
You do the time, and you got to pay fucking attorneys if you pay an attorney.
The reputation of it going public.
Reputation and stress. And look at somebody like Robert Walker down there he was scheduled to have his hearing twice now. Mm-hmm. 2 times, right? 2 times that both got postponed. So it's just dragging on and carrying out and, just basically, hanging over, these charges hang over people's heads throughout this process.
Right.
And even at the end, if you're exonerated and not guilty, you've still now gone through that whole thing based on some fucking lies.
And it's stress that stress changes you, man. When you're under that kind of pressure and you're fearing that you might go to jail or, those kind of things scare people. And that's what works. And that's the unfortunate part about the justice system. They use that fear of, we're going to lock you up somewhere in a dungeon to make you comply with some unreasonable demand that violates your rights.
Well, and that's why this lawsuit here of yours is really important, because it's an accountability lawsuit. I mean, they all are, but this one is like, Jill, you fucking lied and came after, me, you individually came after me and, run me through the ringer for no reason. And so there's going to be consequences for that. There's going to be legal consequences for that. And here it is.
Well, and I think right here, I'm glad I got this video so queued up. I think now's the best time to watch the rest of Nikki from earlier today, because she did talk about Miss Gillette and the clown show known as the DA's office.
Let's do it.
Man, Nikki, you did such a good job today. I was so
We need
surprised to
more
see
like
that come
her.
up.
We need her more like her all over.
Well, that would be the understatement of a lifetime. During a recent testimony, Joe Love stated he had never watched any of the videos posted by Lawrence Accountability or Kansas Freedom News. My advice to him and to all of you, deputies, commissioners, clerks, etc., is to watch them all. The majority of Elk County is watching. The entire free world is watching, witnessing the absolute rot that lives and breathes in our community. That's a hell of a thing to be famous for. I'm more than disappointed. I'm sickened, disgusted, and getting more so with each subsequent video because the conduct and behavior of various Elk County employees and elected officials amazingly gets worse, not better. The lying by our law enforcement personnel, including and especially Miss Gillette, using their position in law enforcement as a weapon, manipulation of the law for their own benefit, falsifying charges, falsifying injuries, as in the case of Mr. Watt. Most recent stalking case, also an egregious and malicious attempt to harm those who would dare to ask questions or disagree with our fearless leaders. It's got to stop, and it's got to stop now. People that we elected, feed, provide, shelter, we pay their salaries, are bringing shame upon this county and all of us. Shame on us for not paying attention or speaking out and allowing this behavior to go on for years. There will be costly lawsuits. Seems the first of what will likely be many has just been docketed in Wichita just recently. In addition, I would like to know if our taxes paid Ms. Gillette to represent herself in a case she brought in which she was the alleged victim, a case she lost, by the way. It is illegal for her to receive financial compensation for representing herself in a personal case. Is Ms. Gillette going to pay the attorney's fees for Mr. Michael? Is it appropriate after having a frivolous PFS petition denied by the judge and out of her own pocket, not the Elk County taxpayers? Who is paying for Ms. Gillette's private security, or we're paying for Ms. Gillette's private security? In one of the videos, a female dispatcher employee at the sheriff's office was horridly abrasive, rude, and disrespectful to members of the public, exercising their right to file a formal complaint. She also refused to sign or initial the proof of receipt line, which is required in her job. This employee should be fired. Period. Full stop. That kind of behavior is unacceptable. The fact that all of this is going on and that it has gone on is unacceptable. It's ugly and it's shameful. People should really be ashamed of themselves. The whole world is seeing this. You guys understand that there's even people from the UK and Australia watching the videos? Most importantly, the people in this community are losing respect and trust in those of you involved in all that's happened. I'm talking to you commissioners as well. When you're out in public, you're fair game as a public servant. It goes with the job. Snarling, bullying, and intimidation is a piss poor way to represent the people of this county to the world. Just being an outsider doesn't mean you're wrong. What's really wrong is what's going on inside. I speak for many when I say we're fed up with it. Thank you.
Anybody else with public comment?
Anybody have any answers to my question?
I'm not answering. Okay, you want to answer? I'm good.
None of them are going to answer,
no,
man.
no answers.
No answers.
No. We'll answer
Man.
about fence posts, where fence posts go, but not those questions there.
Right. And this, I say it over and over and over. This is the justification for what I do and for what we do, is when citizens take it upon themselves. I didn't know she was going to go do that. I saw a Facebook Live notification pop up on my phone. I was like, holy shit, what's going on in Elk County? And so I look, and she's in there in the meeting. This is what I'm talking about. This is why we do this, is to show people that you can go in there. You can go in and talk. Dick, if you hadn't brought us to Elk County, they wouldn't be doing this, man. We wouldn't be here. Oh, Dick, I can't hear you, bud. Oh, he's still muted. Give that man some sound. Man, he's still soundless. I see him turning it on and off.
Well, while he's getting that figured out, one thing to point out that's also really great about her going and speaking is that she is recording too. So not only is she showing up, but recording. That's the second important piece of that.
Exactly. And recording it so that there's a record of it and so that other people can see it. Who else is going to be inspired by her going in there today? Is there going to be another person tomorrow?
Because we ran into that issue there in Elk County as well, where their agenda minutes didn't reflect what happened the meeting before. And so we called them out on that as well. And that's, another example, another good reason of why you should be recording it, because when they go back and generate the record of it, often it's not.
Can you hear
me?
me?
We go. Yeah.
Yep, I think we got Dick back.
All
Go
right.
ahead and say what you were going to say earlier
I'm
about
just,
that Elk
I'm
County
just going to
situation.
say, that right there warms my heart, because I think that's what all of us aim for, is more of the citizens speaking up and holding their government accountable and standing up for what they believe in and obviously their rights.
Even if it's unpopular.
Even if it's unpopular.
And look at what happened. We've seen it happen here. Turnabout. You told a certain commissioner that one day it could happen to her, and it did.
It did.
Sure enough. Yeah. I'm not able to predict the future, but it's just those things are just guaranteed to fucking happen. That's how you know that you can say that, because it's gonna fucking happen. If it happens to one person,
You might get away with it for a long, long time, but there's that one person that will not put up with it.
Right.
Yep. And it'll turn it around on everyone.
And in an email, I told Jill that I was that one guy you're not going to do this to, and we had to end up here.
And here you are. Yeah.
Man, that hearing though brought this case. If she hadn't filed that protection order, we wouldn't be here either.
Yep.
And
and filing it and then lying on the stand,
Well, and now let's talk about
that it was, malicious.
Very malicious, and not that dissimilar than what Lane Myers went through with Judge Ball. I don't know if you two watched all that, Justin. I think you and I talked about it a couple times, but that Judge Ball out there had basically did the same thing to Lane, filing protection orders and all this, and it wasn't too long after that he pulled all that back when he realized that he couldn't do it. Jill just went ahead and went through with it.
That's what's amazing about it, is that she went through it with it, and despite and she had to have known that she didn't have the facts on her side, and she didn't have any evidence. She had to have known that. But yeah, she still went forward with it, and even said, like, I know that there's evidence out there with these videos of these guys, but I haven't watched it.
I didn't watch it. But how can, I'm sorry. I understand the whole aspect of having a memory that's wrong, but how can you come away from that situation with some of the memories that she had? If she didn't watch any of the videos and she just experienced it and then had that memory, how was it so? I can't get there.
It's so far removed from reality that it defies your imagination. She said up on the stand that you followed her out of the courthouse, recording her, walked all the way up to her car, filmed her car, blocked her in because you're standing behind her car, and you filmed her license plate, and then we queue up the video, and you were following her out away. Of the courthouse. You stop probably 50 or 60 feet away from her car, turn your attention towards another thing that's going on, and then she just drives. We didn't even realize she was driving by us. The whole thing is like, what? Where are you getting all this from? And how in the world do you think that's going to fucking stick, lady? What were you thinking?
This one's easy, Dick. Yours may be a little tougher than this. I don't know. This one just seems so cut and dried to me. And I don't, this isn't any kind of gloating or anything like that. This is shame, and I feel sorry for what's going on down there, because I know this is happening to other people. If she did it to me, she did it to somebody else. And that's what gets under my skin, is the fact that there are other people down there that are doing time. I've watched some of them on their Zoom feed, man. It really is frustrating to watch this go on down there.
I agree.
Yep. If she's willing to do you like that, and it's so obvious she didn't have anything at all. Yeah. Imagine what else she's doing down there to people that aren't recording, don't know this, don't know that, whatever the case may be.
And you're not even a citizen of the county. Imagine what she's doing to those who actually do and actually live in the county, that don't record, don't document.
But that's a rural area of Kansas. I mean, there's a lot of people there that don't have the resources to fight back.
Well, here's another thing, though. I mean, she just ran for re-election and won. I mean, I know she's unopposed, but I mean, people still wrote her in. I mean, there are people down there.
But guys, I'd be remiss if I didn't point out that she got 54% of an unopposed vote. That's hardly a vote of confidence.
Yeah.
No, especially when you compare it to, like, you know, the other people that we've had a good experience with is the clerk there, or what's her title?
Carrie Herod.
Yeah. What is she? She the county clerk?
County clerk.
County clerk. Yeah.
County clerk,
she got 92, 93%
of a write-in. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and she does a good job down there. And that reminds me, I wanted to mention that lady that was speaking at the meeting there. I'm glad that she mentioned the unprofessional sheriff's dispatch lady that was running the office that day. Remember when we were there and we were just waiting, and all we needed was a signature to verify receipt of this.
2 hours.
And left us just sitting there over. It's like, geez. So I'm really glad that she mentioned that and remembered it and brought it up, because that was fucking bullshit, man. It was so unnecessary, so unprofessional. And, you know, there was no reason. We hadn't done anything. Was that the first day we were there? I think it was either the first or second time.
Yeah, I think it was the second time.
Second, we hadn't done anything. There was no reason to do that.
Yeah, we were there on July 9th, and that happened on July 29th.
Okay.
And that was the day that we went down for the big meeting and everything. And yeah, they all started losing their minds then. July 9th wasn't that big a deal, but when we went back after the Longton Fair or the Longton Free Parade, when we went down on July 20th, and that was when Roger Marshall was actually in Langton, I believe.
Yep, that's right.
But that was also the day when Doug Hendricks tried to get sideways with us and get all nasty with us on the porch, on the curb there, because we were asking him questions.
And it sounds like she was bringing that up as well when she was saying that, talking about how she named him specifically. But yeah, he turned into what exactly she described there that day.
Exactly.
And again, for no reason.
And see, that's the thing that's hard to get across to these people, is that during our 3 minutes when we come to speak, just listen. It's all you have to do. In 3 minutes, we're going to be done and gone. If you make a scene, it just lasts. It just keeps going and going. I'll give you a great example. And Dick, you probably don't know about this yet, but it's out there. The school board tonight, man, Justin, I couldn't believe what they did to you.
Oh, I know, man. I know.
And they have a policy that they're going to say he can't say certain words, so they're just going to cut him off and shut him down. Well, I don't normally go to the school board meetings, but when I saw that, my first instinct, I'm going to be at the next school board meeting.
Yeah, I'll have a video out on that here soon, but they just did a new policy update, and they have new language in their general public comment about no foul language. And and I just thought that was bullshit. You can't, and the reason why they said it is because, you know, they're a school district. It's a quote unquote school setting, even though this is an admin building. It's not in a school, but not that matters. But that kids could be listening and whatnot, and so we got to protect their speech. And it's the Chris Condi argument, and Chris Condi is a reporter over at LJ World who says our free speech rights have to. I forget exactly the wording he used on it, You might remember, Michael, but it was, our free speech rights ended where, there are
somebody's feelings began,
well,
basically.
no, it was there was the restriction on it based on if it was like in front of children, like you can't cuss in front of children. That's the Chris Condi thing. And so tonight at the school board meeting, I cussed and they fucking
But
interrupted me.
My point is
I would
they
have
could
to say they
just
probably haven't visited a local farm here recently and been around any local farmers. You go
Right.
to local farmers and they're smashing their thumbs. You think they're censoring their words in front of the kids? I mean,
but they're acting like they've never heard these words, and that these words are cutting them to the core. And the reality is as I was saying a minute ago, it's 3 minutes. Let it go and let it end. And instead, here we are, we're talking about it. It happened. It's going to be a subject of conversation next week. It could have just been 3 minutes tonight and done.
Well, it's so un-American too. I mean, just think about that. You telling somebody else what words they can say out of their own mouth as a grown adult, and that bitch leading her name is Kelly Jones, the president of the school board there in Lawrence. Basically, was fucking trying to. She was like lecturing me. I'm like, fuck that. What are you talking about, lady? I mean, just the nerve of these people to take that position and say, we don't like those words, so you can't say those words. Like, you gotta be shitting me, lady. No, they're words. They're just spoken things that come out of your mouth, man. Take it easy.
Right. And they can't cut you.
No.
Not even your ears.
Well, she said she was so fucking shook up about it that she fucking had to pause the meeting, take a 2-minute recess. She said so they could fucking recenter themselves. She said his words threw off our meeting. I'm like, you got to be shitting me, lady. What are you talking about? You're fucking
Yeah, and the Constitution doesn't say anything about except in front of our children. That is exactly right. That's Janet who handed out the Constitution. She should know.
Yeah.
But
I was just saying, I laugh about how school boards try to tell people what they can and can't say. Because 45 years old, raising 5 kids, I've got kids that teach me words that I didn't even, words and phrases I never even knew existed. And I'm like, what? So, I mean, the fact that they try to censor mine and they know more than I do.
Well, and when we were kids, we were saying the cuss words in 1st and 2nd grade. I remember this. So it's not like it's,
yeah.
Everybody likes to act like the children are all innocent, but they really know more than what we would think they do.
Yeah. And they even teach us.
Well, and it's viewpoint discrimination because it's a form of expression that they're saying you're not allowed to say. So if you felt it necessary to express yourself in a certain way that involved certain words, and they say no, you can't do that, that's and that's unconstitutional for no reason to do that. That's a discrimination on the way you want to express yourself.
Yeah, and on the pages here, we're getting down into the malicious prosecution aspect of that, and that's basically where that comes in, is that when they use the power of their office to come after you for these things, that does become a malicious prosecution. And what else is there to say about? I've watched her in court too many times, and it's just hard not to see malicious in some of the videos that I've seen in the 13th district.
We seen that one a couple weeks ago where she's in there and she's like, well, this guy, he's been in a lot of cases recently, and he's like, what are you talking about? No, I haven't. Like, her definition of a lot was like, I think 2, something like that. Right. And they all had some sort of explanation, but the way she tried to make it sound like it was so much more than what it was is another form of their, exaggerations and being dramatic and obscuring the truth of things.
Well, and you guys can see the video on my channel of the recent video where Jill was pretty much railroading a disabled guy, and Judge Satterfield actually stepped in and had questions about his competence
Yeah.
at the end, at the disposition stages. I mean,
Yeah.
how do you have questions about somebody's competence at the disposition stage? Isn't that something that should be figured out a little before we're deciding whether we're going to throw them in jail or not?
Well, and yeah, absolutely, and that's another issue down there is that's on that fucking public defender there that was assigned to him. I mean, the judge basically, extended time for that attorney to do what he should have done before and get some sort of evaluation to prevent this guy from going to prison for, I think, 4.5 years. That should have been done right away. Like you said, how do you get to that point? And now the judge is like, wait a minute, is he even competent to go to prison? Like, what was the attorney thinking by not looking into that right away? How is that not one of your first things? Like, they don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck.
Well, Dick, you've watched her. Hell, you turned us on to that county, man.
It's pitiful. It leaves you speechless on the unprofessionalism, the lack of empathy that some of these guys have. It's just crazy. And the ignorance of the law that you think they would be aware of, the ignorance of your constitutional rights, the founding document of this great country. It makes you sick. It kind of irritates you a little bit, but
yeah, and part of your defense on that PFA, Michael, was including that, her making up shit and using the law. This ain't the first time she's done that. She did that shit in Robert Walker's case for us, all of us three here as reporters.
Yeah.
To not fucking report in a certain way and to keep us from being down there and fucking and ordering the requesting.
She wanted us to pay. She wanted us to pay for extra security and I'm talking, when I say us, it's each of the three of us on this screen right now.
Yep.
She wrote that ex parte thing into her motion, that motion that had the name that was 10 lines long.
She definitely has a proven track history.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was shocked when she wanted me to pay and wanted us to pay for all this stuff, and we hadn't even done anything other than ask some questions.
Yeah, and she's like judge, jury, and executioner. It's like, oh, you're gonna sanction a fine and a penalty against us, and we don't even get a day in court to explain our side of the story. Well, we just have to start paying for shit because you were punished for something you said we did. You got to be shitting me.
Well, I don't know if she didn't think that was going to come back up, but
shit.
It did come up in this hearing. It had to come up because it was showing that she had tried this thing before.
She tried it, it didn't work, and then it also spoke to her fucking character, which, as far as I'm concerned, or her credibility, as far as I'm concerned, it's shot.
Yeah,
it's completely shot.
And as you can see down here at the bottom, my attorney did write in a request for punitive damages. She needs to be taught a lesson not to do this stuff and not to treat people this way. Again, I've just watched too many cases down there where I've had questions about, is this really happening, or this just doesn't seem right? There's too many times that happens. I watched Kansas City area courts. I watch courts from a lot of different places, and I never come away with as many questions about the hearings and concerns about how they're going than I do in Elk County.
Really?
I'm serious. I watch what goes on down there, and I just question how much they're actually following the law versus how much they're following just what we've always done.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And she's also the prosecutor over there in Greenwood as well. So same thing, 2 different counties, I'm sure.
Well, and it's the same district, so they have the same district judges. I mean, in Greenwood, I think that's where what's her name? She's famous.
Who?
Oh, I can't think of her name right now. The judge in the 13th district that's got the big glasses.
Oh, was it Wesley or?
No, John Dupuy will put it in there, either that or Janet will.
What is her name? I know what you're talking about. Starts with a W, I want to say.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about too, but I don't remember her name off the top of my head. I know the other one, Satterfield.
Webster.
Judge Webster, that's right. Paul Corbett got it.
Webster.
Yeah. She's over in Greenwood County a lot, and it looks like what we had Judge Lee in my case, and
Ricky.
I think there's another judge that pretty much serves Elk County. Ricky's the chief judge, which I think he does a half decent job anyway. I don't, he seems like he's paying attention and fair with the cases.
Yeah.
Well, guys in Elk County, I mean, I hope you guys don't have to pay for this. I agree with what Nikki said. I don't think that the county should have to pay for something that was done on a pro se status like this. And, that's not what we intend down there. We don't want the county to have to foot these bills. But at the same time, you guys got to stand up. You guys got to go to these meetings. You guys got to pay attention. And when stuff happens, spread the word. There's always somebody paying attention out here. Dick, you're going to be watching.
Absolutely. I'm not going to turn my head for a second during this.
No. And Doc, I mean, there's been a number of times here recently that we've talked about going down to Elk County, and it just hasn't worked out scheduling wise. And then I went down for a couple of weeks, and Christmas happened and everything. But I mean, we're going to be back at a meeting down there sometime, and just like Jackson County, we'll be back at a meeting out there. And I'll just put a shot over somebody's bow right now. We're going to be at a meeting in Wilson County before too long, and there's some discussions to be had down there. So, Doc, what else you got?
Oh, nothing. Just looking forward to seeing how these play out. And also we got Robert Walker's case hearing or trial here at the end of the month too. So that'll be something that'll be happening as well. Interested to see how that plays out.
Yeah. Robert Walker's trial is the one that got it all started, Dick. His case comes to the district trial at the 28th and 29th this month.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yep. And that'll be in Howard, Kansas.
Hopefully they don't push that back anymore, because they're getting pretty close to, flirting with that
speedy trial. Well, I don't think they have much room to push it back. I think the last time they did, the judge said it's going no matter what.
Good.
But I think we've said that before and seen it change. But hopefully that trial gets finished up or gets dismissed. I'd like it to see it just get dismissed. I think it's a waste of money to bring in jurors and do all that. And they've already brought in jurors twice now. They've already summoned them twice and had to send them home. I don't know. I'm not a jury consultant, but I know that wouldn't make me too happy if I kept having to show up to the courthouse for nothing and ruin a day of work and stuff like that. So I don't know what that does to the jury, but I would think that it's not helping.
Yeah, that shit was crazy that morning. You got all those jurors that were showing up, because me and Michael, we were there, and they kept showing up. And then you got Chris Pate, who drove an hour over there and didn't know it was, postponed until he got there. I mean, it's all around was just, people showing up and didn't have to, I guess.
Yeah. Well, guys, Dick, I appreciate you joining us tonight. And
I appreciate you guys having me and covering all this. Definitely appreciate that.
Yeah. You guys go over, subscribe to Kansas Freedom News. He's like I said, he's the one that drew us to Elk County, man. If it hadn't have been for him seeing that Robert Walker situation and pointing our eyes that direction, man, I don't know where we'd be right now. And I don't know where Robert would be, because I got to tell you, I have to hope that the exposure kind of changed the equation on that a little bit.
If I was him and I didn't have all the support that he's gained from all this attention, I probably would have given up. I'd probably thrown in the towel. But I'm glad to see him still fighting and having a good, positive, head on his shoulders. So it's good to see that he's still got a little spark in him.
I don't think there's a good way that they can put a good spin on what we saw on video. That kind of violence just can't be tolerated. And I'm glad that there's people behind, seeing that justice.
Yep, absolutely.
So.
Well, on a practical level, Robert would probably still, on a practical level, Robert would probably still have his old attorney house. So he got a new attorney, and also, he's got our attorney as well for his case too. So,
Yep.
being connected with some legal people. So that's good.
Yep. All right, guys. I think we're going to cut it off for tonight. We appreciate y'all joining in, and we'll be back with some more content coming here soon. This is the Lawrence Accountability, Doc Dreaded Robber Browser, and Richard Smith with Kansas Freedom News.
Yep, and
Peace out.
I'd like to say before we should sign off is now that I got the permission from the attorney that I can go do a little bit more work, I can get back out there. We're hoping that I can clear out my schedule and get back out there. So
Awesome.
prepared
I know
to see more
Kathleen-
from me now that I'm not
Excellent.
bound by attorney-client privilege. You know what I mean?
Go
All right,
break
Dick.
some stories, man. Go break some more stories.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank
All
you
right,
guys for
guys.
having me.
Take care.
Yep.
Yeah, man.
You can't win.
You can't say whatever you want and then face some sort of repercussions for it later.
Hey, fun, son. Nothing else in the world smells like that.
Kansas has possibly the weakest open records law in the country.
Retaliatory animus, had it not been for that negative feeling towards speech, they would have not done that.
You think you can still control my life, control every cause and
Are you telling me that 200 men against your boy is a no-win situation for us?
wishing you could see things was my way when it all gets ripped away. I love the smell of napalm in the morning. I can't hide